What if everything you've been taught about success, about competition, and even how the future is actually built is fundamentally flawed?
It's certainly a provocative way to start, isn't it? It
Yeah,
really challenges a lot of the standard thinking we all kind of absorb.
absolutely. And that's really our mission today. We're going deep into some truly transformative ideas about innovation, unique value, the real drivers of progress.
All coming from Peter Thiel's, well, essential book, Zero to One, Notes on Startups or How to Build the Future.
Right. And his main point, his central argument, is pretty bold.
It is. He basically says the world doesn't need more of the same, what he calls 1 to N or horizontal progress.
Like just copying what works somewhere else, globalization, essentially.
Exactly. He argues what we desperately need is genuinely new stuff that's 0 to 1. Vertical progress, technology, but in the broadest sense.
Okay, so it's not about taking, say, one typewriter and making 100 more.
No,
It's about taking the typewriter and inventing the word processor, that kind of jump.
precisely. That's the leap he's focused on. And the key question he uses, the one that guides the whole book, really, is what important truth do very few people agree with you on?
That's a tough one.
It really is. He believes finding the answer to that is the key to actually creating the future. It forces you to look for what's truly contrarian.
Because the standard answers are, well, standard. Everyone agrees on those.
Right. It's hard intellectually because schools teach consensus. And it's hard psychologically because, you have to stand apart. Maybe say something unpopular.
Thiel thinks brilliant thinking is rare, but the courage to actually say it, even rarer.
That sums it up well.
Okay, so if 0 to 1 is the goal, this leap forward, what stops us? Thiel points to this lure of 1 to N thinking. Let's dig into that.
Well, he sees technology almost like a miracle, our unique power as humans.
How so?
He argues our ability to invent completely new things, that's what lets us rewrite the plan of the world, as he puts it. We don't just build instinctively like animals. We can invent fundamentally new ways, better ways of doing things.
It sounds so basic, like something you learn in primary school, but we forget it.
We do. We get caught up in just replicating. And this leads to his big distinction: horizontal versus vertical progress.
Horizontal is globalization, taking stuff that works here and making it work everywhere.
Exactly. Like China copying developed world tech for decades. That's horizontal.
And vertical is doing genuinely new things, the 0 to 1 leap. That's technology.
Right. And technology isn't just computers or software. It's any new and better way of doing things. Could be a new manufacturing process, a new medical treatment, anything.
So you can have both types of progress or just one or neither.
Yes. Thiel points out that from, say, 1815 to 1914, we had both rapid tech development and globalization. But he argues that since maybe the early 70s, we've seen ton of globalization, but surprisingly limited new tech breakthroughs, mostly just in IT.
And that leads to a pretty scary place, stagnation. He argues globalization without new tech isn't sustainable.
Not at all. Environmentally, it's a disaster waiting to happen. His example is, if China just doubles energy output using today's tech, pollution doubles.
Or if India starts consuming like the US using current methods.
Catastrophic. Spreading old ways in a world of scarce resources, he says, leads to devastation, not wealth.
It makes you think about that period of incredible progress, maybe the 1760s to 1970. Steam engines, electricity, cars, planes.
People back then genuinely expected it to just keep accelerating. They thought we'd have, 4-day work weeks, energy too cheap to meter, vacations on the moon by now.
But mostly, we didn't get that broad progress. We got amazing IT, smartphones, the internet. But our physical surroundings, our energy sources, our transport. They feel strangely old, as he puts it.
Yeah, it feels like a lost vision. The real challenge now is to create the new technologies that make this century truly better, more peaceful, more prosperous.
And that's where startups come in, right? Because new tech often bubbles up from these small focus groups.
Exactly. They could avoid the bureaucracy of big organizations. They're not limited like a lone genius might be. A startup is basically the biggest group you can convince to try a radically new plan for the future.
It's that small size, that blank slate, that lets them think differently, question everything.
Rethink business from scratch.
Yeah.
That's hard to do anywhere else.
Okay, so we have the theory of 0 to 1. But to really get why it's so uncommon, we kind of need to look back at a time when maybe we collectively lost the plot a bit.
You mean the dot-com bubble?
Exactly.
Yeah, Nietzsche's quote fits perfectly. Madness is rare in individuals, but in groups, parties, nations, and ages, it is the rule. The dot-com era feels like a prime example.
We look back now and call it a bubble, obviously. Page views over profits, that whole thing.
Right. But Thiel's point is the effects of that bubble didn't just vanish when it popped. The crash was huge, the biggest since Covid, and he argues its aftermath still shapes and maybe distorts how we think about tech today.
So let's paint a picture of the 90s before the mania. We remember it as optimistic, but it started rough, right?
Yeah. Recession in the early 90s, slow recovery, anxiety about globalization, jobs going overseas. Even Silicon Valley wasn't booming initially. Stanford students were apparently more into economics than computer science back then.
Well, then the internet just exploded onto the scene.
Web browsers, Mosaic, then Netscape. Suddenly, normal people could get online easily. Netscape's IPO in 95, even though they weren't profitable, it just took off.
Yahoo, Amazon. Their stock soared.
And even though some people were skeptical, saying the market was crazy, you could kind of see why there was excitement initially.
Because the rest of the world felt shaky.
Pretty much. The peak mania, late 98 to early 2000, happened while everything else seemed unstable. East Asian financial crisis, Russia defaulting, worries about the euro, the LTCM hedge fund bailout.
So the internet felt like the only game in town, the only path forward.
It really did. And this was the backdrop for PayPal's early days. Thiel was running it in late 99.
Their initial idea was pretty wild, wasn't it? Replace the US dollar?
Yeah, create a new internet currency. Their first product, beaming money between Palm Pilots. Total failure.
Huh. Okay.
But then email payments just took off.
Yeah.
Unexpectedly.
And they had that crazy growth strategy, paying people to sign up.
$10 to join, $10 for referrals. Sounds insane, right? Exponential costs.
How did that make sense?
Thiel says it did make sense because they could see a clear path to profit. Once they hit scale, a tiny fee on millions of transactions would work. The huge initial cost was justified by the potential monopoly payoff.
But they knew the boom wouldn't last forever.
Right, they were racing against time. They raised $100 million in March 2000, and just as they closed the deal, bang, the bubble popped.
The NASDAQ crash. Huge drop.
Massive. From over 5,000 down to nearly 1,100 by late 2002. A real reckoning.
And Thiel says this crash, like a divine judgment, led to these 4 deeply ingrained lessons in the startup world. But lessons he thinks are wrong.
Profoundly problematic, yeah. First, only make incremental advances. No more grand visions. Second, stay lean and flexible, which basically meant don't have a plan, just iterate constantly.
Third,
improve on the competition. Yeah. Don't try to create totally new markets. That's too risky.
And fourth, focus only on product, not sales. If it's good, it'll grow virally on its own.
And Thiel just flips all of these. He argues for the opposite.
Like what?
Risk boldness, don't be trivial. A bad plan is actually better than no plan. Competitive markets, they destroy profits. And sales. Sales matters just as much as the product itself.
Wow. So he thinks we need some of that late 90s boldness back.
A bit of that hubris, yeah. To build the next generation of big companies, he believes the most contrarian act isn't just disagreeing with the crowd, it's actually thinking for yourself.
Okay, that sets up the next big counterintuitive idea perfectly. The case for monopoly.
Right, and he frames it with his business contrarian question. What valuable company is nobody building?
And crucially, it's not just about creating value.
You have to capture some of that value too. That's the key distinction.
The airline example makes this so clear.
It really does. U.S. airlines, they create huge value, billions of dollars flying millions of people. But in 2012, their average profit per passenger, 37 cents.
37 cents, wow.
Now compare that to Google in the same year. Less total revenue than the airlines, $50 billion versus $160 billion. But Google kept 21% of that as profit.
21% margin.
Over 100 times the airline industry's profit margin. And Google's valuation was like 3 times all U.S. airlines combined.
Because airlines compete like crazy and Google doesn't really in its core business.
Exactly. That's the difference between perfect competition and monopoly in economic terms.
Perfect competition. Lots of firms, identical products. No one makes real profit long term.
Right. New firms jump in, drive prices down, profits vanish. Monopoly is the opposite. One firm owns the market, sets prices, makes durable profits.
But Thiel's not talking about illegal monopolies, the ones who bully competitors.
No, not at all. He means a company that's just so good at what it does that no other firm can offer a close substitute. Google Search is his prime example. They haven't really competed for search share in ages.
Which leads to the lies companies tell, how they describe themselves.
Yes. Monopolists pretend they're not monopolies. They define their markets super broadly. Google says it competes in the global advertising market, or the tech market generally,
Makes them look like a small fish in a giant pond.
even though they dominate search advertising. Eric Schmidt's congressional testimony is a classic example of this strategic framing.
And companies in competitive markets tell the opposite lie.
They do. They define their market incredibly narrowly to seem unique. Like, we're the only British restaurant in Palo Alto.
But really, they're competing with all restaurants in Palo Alto.
Exactly. And ignoring that broader competition can be fatal. It's not just about low profits. Intense competition is brutal. It forces you towards ruthlessness or death, as Thiel puts it.
He mentions that tragic story of the French chef.
Bernard Louiso, who killed himself over fears of a ratings downgrade. It's an extreme example, but it highlights the immense pressure of constant competition.
Whereas a company like Google, with its monopoly profits,
They can afford to think beyond just survival. They can focus on workers, product quality, bigger goals, their "don't be evil" motto. That's a luxury afforded by monopoly profits. It lets them transcend that daily fight.
and he argues these creative monopolies are actually good for society.
Yes, because they add entirely new categories of abundance. Apple didn't make money by creating scarcity. They made it by inventing the iPhone, something people desperately wanted, and that created immense new value.
The profits were the reward for that innovation.
Exactly. And history shows monopolies don't last forever anyway. New ones replace old ones.
Apple displaced Microsoft. Microsoft displaced IBM.
AT&T lost its phone monopoly. It proves the cycle continues. Monopolies drive progress because the promise of years of monopoly profits is a huge incentive to take risks and innovate.
It allows for long-term thinking, big research projects.
Things that are impossible if you're just fighting to survive month to month. This is why Thiel criticizes economists' focus on competition. He thinks it's based on outdated physics models aiming for equilibrium.
But in business, equilibrium means
Stasis. Death. Every great business, he says, does something unique. Monopoly isn't a pathology. It's the condition of success.
which brings us back to that great Tolstoy quote, flip.
All happy companies are different. Each one earns a monopoly by solving a unique problem. All failed companies are the same. They failed to escape competition.
Okay, so if you want to build one of these happy, different monopolistic companies, how do you do it? What makes them last?
This gets us into things like last mover advantage and having definite plans. It flips the script on first mover advantage.
Right, we always hear be first, but Thiel says
Be the last great development in a particular market. That's the goal. Because what matters isn't short-term profit, it's future cash flows. Value comes from the long term.
the Twitter versus New York Times example illustrates this.
Perfectly. Twitter losing money but valued hugely at IPO. NYT profitable but valued much lower. Why? The expectation of future monopoly profits for Twitter versus the declining monopoly power of newspapers.
It really is counterintuitive. Profit now feels safer.
But a truly great business generates most of its value far in the future. Tech companies often lose money for years. Thiel mentions PayPal, where like 75% of its value in 2001 came from profits projected 10 years out or more. LinkedIn is similar.
It's all about durability. Will this business still be dominant a decade from now?
Exactly, which is why that measurement mania we saw with companies like Zynga or Groupon was so dangerous. They obsessed over short-term metrics.
And missed the big picture, the long-term threats.
Yeah. So what are the characteristics of these durable monopolies? Thiel outlines 4 key ones. First, proprietary technology.
Meaning it has to be way better than anything else.
At least 10 times better. That creates a real barrier. Google search, PayPal on eBay initially, Amazon's vast book selection, Apple's integrated design, they were all quantum leaps, not just marginal improvements.
Okay, number 2.
Network effects. The product gets more useful the more people use it. Facebook is the classic example.
But you can't start by trying to get everyone, right?
No, that's the paradox.
Yeah.
You have to start with a really small, specific, engaged market first. Facebook started with just Harvard. Get it right there, then expand.
Makes sense. Third characteristic.
Economies of scale. The business gets stronger if it gets bigger. Fixed costs get spread out. Software is great for this. Making another copy costs almost nothing.
Unlike, say, a yoga studio, which doesn't scale the same way.
Exactly. And fourth, branding. Creating a strong identity matters. Apple is the obvious example today.
But it's not just the cool ads or the logo.
Absolutely not. Apple's brand is powerful because it's built on top of their proprietary tech, their scale, their network effects via the App Store. It has substance. Trying to build a brand without that underlying strength, like Yahoo tried under Marissa Mayer, usually fails.
Okay, so those are the characteristics. How do you actually build it?
First, start small and monopolize. This is crucial. Dominate a tiny market first.
Like PayPal forgetting the Palm Pilot idea and focusing just on eBay power sellers.
Precisely. That niche was small but highly connected and needed their solution badly. Thiel says hearing an entrepreneur talk about capturing 1% of a $100 billion market, it's a huge red flag.
Why? Sounds ambitious.
Because it means you're admitting you're starting in a highly competitive market with no clear edge. You need to find a small pond where you can be the big fish fast.
Then scale up, gradually.
Like Amazon, books first. Then CDs, videos, slowly adding categories until they became the everything store, or eBay starting with Beanie Babies and expanding, disciplined expansion into related markets.
And finally he says, don't disrupt. Which sounds weird because disruption is such a buzzword.
He hates it. He thinks it frames startups negatively as just attackers of incumbents. Instead, focus on creating new value, expanding the whole market if possible.
Like PayPal ultimately helping Visa grow the overall payments market rather than just trying to kill them.
Exactly. Yeah. Napster tried to disrupt and got crushed. PayPal found a way to add value and became a partner. It's about creating positive-sum situations, not zero-sum fights.
So it's about being the last mover, having that end game in mind from the start.
Study the end game first, then make your opening move.
Which connects to this idea that success isn't just luck. You are not a lottery ticket.
Right. This whole debate, luck versus skill. Lots of successful people credit luck, being in the right place at the right time. Buffett, Bezos.
But then you look at people like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Jack Dorsey. They've done it multiple times, built huge companies again and again.
Dorsey tweeted, "Success is never accidental. It's hard to chalk up multiple billion-dollar wins to just pure chance. It suggests design plays a major role."
Historically, people believed more in planning, right? Like Amundsen reaching the South Pole through meticulous preparation.
Victory awaits him who has everything in order, luck people call it. Yeah. Thiel thinks we've swung too far towards crediting randomness and dismissing deliberate plans.
So is the future chance or design? Thiel firmly believes you can shape it.
He contrasts definite versus indefinite attitudes. A definite view means you understand the future is shapeable and you work to make it happen. An indefinite view sees it as random, so you just try to react or keep options open.
And he thinks the indefinite attitude is why people focus on accumulating options like diverse resumes instead of committing to one bold path.
Exactly. A definite person finds the one best thing to do and goes all in, tries to become a monopoly of one. But he feels that faith in a definite future has faded.
He lays out 4 quadrants based on definite, indefinite, and optimistic, pessimistic views.
Yeah. Indefinite pessimism. Europe since the 70s. Future looks bleak, no clear plan, just reacting, muddling through. Kick the can down the road.
Okay. Then definite pessimism.
That's China today, he argues. Future's knowable, but likely harsh, so prepare intensely. Copy what works, build infrastructure rapidly, focus on avoiding disaster.
Third, definite optimism. The past.
The West, from maybe the 17th century to the 1960s. Future will be better if we plan and build it. Think big projects. Empire State Building, Golden Gate Bridge, Apollo program. Grand plans were taken seriously. Now they're often called hubris.
And fourth, where he puts the U.S. since the 80s, indefinite optimism.
Future will be better, somehow, but no specific plans how. Finance, law, consulting thrive here, rearranging existing value, keeping options open, process over substance, baby boomers expecting effortless progress.
And the danger of indefinite optimism.
Progress without a plan isn't sustainable. You can't just iterate your way to radical breakthroughs. Iteration without a bold plan won't take you from 0 to 1.
So he calls for a return of design, like Steve Jobs.
Jobs is the icon here. He had definite multi-year plans. He designed the business to create and deliver revolutionary products. No minimum viable products for him. It was about integrated, deliberate creation.
Zuckerberg turning down Yahoo's billion-dollar offer is another example. He had a definite vision.
Exactly. A business with a real plan will always look undervalued in a world obsessed with randomness. Thiel's message is, we need to get back to making definite plans. A startup is the best place to exercise that kind of mastery. Reject the tyranny of chance. You are not a lottery ticket.
Which brings us neatly to the final section. The value of secrets and strong foundations. That contrarian question, what important truth do few people agree on, leads directly to the idea of secrets.
Thiel believes there are still many important undiscovered truths out there. Secrets. Finding them is what makes world-changing companies possible. like Andrew Wiles finally proving Fermat's last theorem. It was a secret hidden in math for centuries.
But most people act like there are no big secrets left to find.
It seems that way. He even mentions Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, who tragically believed all the hard problems were solved. Thiel suggests things like urban hipsterdom, with its focus on irony and retro, might even reflect a kind of societal allergy to genuine, difficult achievement, a disbelief in secrets.
Why don't we look for them?
Society subtly discourages it. Fundamentalism, whether religious, environmental, or even free market, often resists questioning established truths.
And he lists 4 social trends that reinforce this.
Right. Incrementalism.
Yeah.
Just take small steps. Risk aversion. Don't dare to be wrong. Complacency. Elites are comfortable. Why rock the boat? And flatness. The idea the world is so connected, surely someone smarter would have found the secret already.
The consequence is just accepting things as they are, like assuming markets are perfectly efficient.
Which blinds us to bubbles, like the dot-com bubble or the 2005 housing bubble. People ignored obvious secrets right in front of them because they believed the market knew best.
The Hewlett-Packard story is a stark warning here.
Absolutely tragic. HP was an invention powerhouse. Then after 1999, they basically stopped innovating at the core, focused on mergers, services, internal politics. The board got lost in infighting. They completely lost the plot, lost the belief in finding new secrets.
And the company's value stagnated for over a decade.
A cautionary tale about what happens when you stop searching. Thiel insists there are huge secrets left in medicine, energy, computing, but we have to believe they exist and look relentlessly.
And great companies can be built on secrets hidden in plain sight.
Often, yes. Secrets about people, about untapped potential. Airbnb saw spare rooms and unmet demand where others saw nothing. Uber and Lyft saw unused car capacity. If simple insights like that can build massive companies, imagine what else is out there.
He talks about secrets of nature versus secrets about people.
Natural secrets are about the physical world. Secrets about people involve understanding human behavior, what people don't know about themselves or try to hide, what's taboo, what's forbidden to say.
So look where others aren't looking, in fields that matter but aren't totally mapped out.
Like human nutrition, maybe. We know so little, fundamentally.
And once you find a secret,
you guard it carefully. You share it only with those you need to build a company. Thiel says it, a great company is a conspiracy to change the world. You need fellow conspirators you can trust with that core secret.
which leads directly into the importance of foundations. Thiel's law.
A startup messed up at its foundation cannot be fixed. Beginnings are critical. Early decisions, especially who you start with, are almost impossible to undo later.
It's like a marriage, he says. Founding matrimony.
Exactly. Choosing co-founders is the single most important decision. He mentions his partner Luke Nosek's first startup failed, mainly because of a bad co-founder film. You ideally need a shared history, real trust. Starting with strangers is a huge gamble.
Then you need to align interests, ownership, possession, control.
Yeah, who owns the stock? Ownership. Who runs things day-to-day possession, and who governs, like, the board control. When these are misaligned, like a CEO focused on short-term bonuses instead of long-term equity value, it causes huge problems.
Keep the board small, he advises.
Very small. 3 is ideal for a private company, never more than 5. Easier to manage, but also means one bad director can do immense damage.
And everyone needs to be fully committed.
On the bus or off the bus. Full-time, fully invested. No part-timers, consultants, or extensive remote work, especially early on. Their incentives are inevitably short-term and misaligned with building long-term value.
Including the CEO's pay. He has that controversial take on low salaries.
Right. Keep CEO cash salary low, maybe 150 K max for an early-stage VC-backed company. High cash pay encourages playing it safe, preserving the status quo. Low cash forces focus on increasing the company's value, the equity.
Like Aaron Levy at Box paying himself the least.
Exactly. It signals commitment to the long term. Cash offers short-term options. Equity aligns everyone to building future value.
Even though distributing equity fairly is really hard.
It's almost impossible to get perfect. Sometimes you even have to keep the details secret to avoid jealousy, but the principle is key. Equity aligns incentives for the long haul.
This all feeds into creating a strong culture, like the PayPal Mafia.
That group wasn't just talented. They genuinely liked working together, bonded by that shared mission. It created an incredibly tight-knit, effective team. It wasn't just transactional.
So recruiting is vital. You can't outsource it.
Never. And don't just pitch generic perks. Explain your specific mission and why this specific person is uniquely suited for your team. Offer them the chance to do irreplaceable work with great people.
And inside the company, structure things to minimize conflict.
His key technique: give each person one thing, one primary responsibility. Makes roles clear, reduces turf wars. Internal conflict, he says, is like an autoimmune disease for a startup.
So a company stays innovative as long as it keeps that founding spirit alive?
That's the idea. Get the founding right, the people, the mission, the structure, and you can guide the company towards creating genuinely new things for a long, long time.
Okay, so wrapping this all up for you, our listener, this deep dive really hammers home that the future isn't just random. It's something we can, and Thiel argues should, design.
It requires that unique vision, those bold, definite plans we talked about, and aiming to build these monopolies that truly add new value to the world, solving unique problems.
And these ideas, they aren't just for founders. They apply to anyone trying to build or create something significant.
Absolutely. It's a way of thinking about progress itself.
So here's a final thought to leave you with, building on those ideas of secrets and definite plans. What's one secret you suspect might be true? Maybe about your industry, your work, your community, even yourself. Something that most people around you probably wouldn't agree with.
And if you really believe you've glimpsed that secret,
Yeah.
what bold, definite plan could you actually make to act on it? What would it take to go from 0 to 1?